As Hurricane Helene made its way through our region, many relied on timely and accurate information to stay safe.
Today we have a special guest, First Alert Chief Meteorologist Riley Helene, who was on the front lines of coverage during the storm. Hello.
Morning.
And you got very little sleep.
I'm about to say, are you awake?
Yeah, I mean, it's been nonstop since it happened.
It has.
It's one of those things you cover it before, during, and you got to stick around after too. So but we are lucky. We're safe. There's a lot of people out there that are still struggling, still not safe.
True.
So really thinking with those people, and that's who we're really focusing on now, is just getting them their resources, telling their stories for sure.
Yeah, and so Riley, nobody really expected it to be as bad as it was. So for you, as a meteorologist, what were some of the most surprising developments during Hurricane Helene's trajectory? Yeah,
I think all week we were saying this was going to be a high impact wind event. We were going with 50 to 70 mile an hour winds. It got up to 80, so we were off by 10 mile an hour on the wind, but we kept reiterating this was going to be a high impact wind event. And I go back to one of our morning meetings we had before the storm arrived, and we were talking about how the timing was so awful because it was going to be happening during a time frame where a lot of people were asleep.
Right.
And we knew that's when the strongest wind was going to be, and that's what we kept alerting people, like, just stay awake. If you have large trees around your home, stay downstairs. We knew the wind was going to be different with this storm, and we kept trying to emphasize that this was going to be like unlike any tropical system we had seen in recent years because of the trajectory and how we were going to be on the eastern side of that eye wall, and how that's where you find your strongest impacts. So once the storm started that night, and I mean, you could even see the wind at the station, and I think once the morning show finally ended and it kind of sunk in, like we just saw 80 plus mile an hour winds. And I mean, as meteorologists, you know what that translates to. Specifically where I used to live off Jackson Road in Augusta, my heart instantly sank just thinking of all those big pine trees, right. Large oak trees. It sunk in right after that morning show ended that there were going to be people that lost their life.
And you know, the thing is, you're forecasting an event that has not been seen ever before in this area. Like you said, the huge winds as well. Were there any particular moments during the coverage that stood out for you, either in terms of the behavior of the storm or the community's response?
Yeah, I mean, I think once it made landfall, I made a post on Facebook saying, Helene's made landfall, get prepared. Like, this is hours away from us, and it's going to bring us extreme impacts. But as you said, this is an unprecedented storm for our area. So we can say this is going to be a high impact wind event. We're expecting strong winds from a tropical system we've never seen before, but no one really knows what that translates to. And that's the thing is that, and I think this is going to help me grow as a meteorologist, actually seeing this, living through it now, is like, this is how you warn people now. Now that we've experienced it, you know what it translates to. And you can say, all right, whenever we're experiencing this now, I'll just tell people, don't stay here. Like, I mean, with all and the thing is that since this is an unprecedented wind event for our area, our tree canopy was able to grow freely for decades around all our neighborhoods, around the entire area. And with the lack of these storms showing up every couple years, like in Florida or South Georgia or along the coast, you never thin out that tree canopy. So with this one storm, it leveled every tree that could give in this type of wind environment. So we just saw extreme impacts because it hasn't been felt since these trees started growing probably. And I mean, you just think of all the neighborhoods with, we were driving across the area yesterday, and I mean, you still have giant pine trees hanging on power lines over Jackson Road, over Walton Way. Walton Way completely changed.
Oh, absolutely. The
you
entire
think of how
right?
iconic that drive is, man.
And you know, look, I mean, obviously, you're emotional, and everybody is emotional at that. But people see this and understand. You, as chief meteorologist, you could see what was coming. You know what was going to happen too.
You always think you should have done more. I mean, you always think you should have done more. That day, I mean, the thing was, before the thing even arrived, we had tornado warnings 8 a.m. Thursday morning, and So we were covering tornado warnings all day Thursday before Helene even arrived overnight that night. So I mean, it was just significant impacts for a long time. I mean, we saw significant flooding before Helene even arrived. Rays Creek was flooding into homes. It's just unlike anything I've ever seen or we've ever seen here locally.
Yeah, and leading off of that, Riley, what advice would you give to viewers on how to stay informed during a hurricane? You know, God forbid this happens again.
I know. We were able to stream a lot of our stuff, and that's still how we're having to reach our audience is streaming. So I encourage everyone to follow our YouTube channel, Facebook page, our main News 1226 Facebook page. We were streaming on all those avenues throughout the night. I was on air. Emily was with Nick Proto on the digital desk. We were streaming on our apps, our websites. But I mean, the best way to stay informed is keep that cell phone close by and just be able to get those push alerts. An emergency alert system will alert you if any other warnings are put out. But as we saw, I mean, a lot of people lost our coverage because they lost power.
Right.
And yeah, it's.
Well, for what it's worth, many of us relied on those special alerts that still came through, too.
Absolutely.
And on top of that, you guys did absolutely everything you could with the First Alert team. So thank you so much personally and out to everybody as well. Riley, you guys did great covering this.
Cliff.
Nobody knew what was going to be coming. That's why you guys were here to tell them, and we can't thank you enough. We appreciate it.
Yeah. I'm so sorry to all those families that lost loved ones in this. It hurts.
We will rebuild on that, though. But Riley, we appreciate it. Thanks for hanging with us today, okay?
Thank you.
More to come here on The Mix. We'll be right back.